she's lying dead in a pool of blood. I'm kicking off the month in my sweet spot. Sorry, Harry, you know, it's a thriller, it's not going good. Oof, my worst nightmare. Crying my eyes out, like feeling all the feels. Happens, girl, happens. You're here for this. I can't keep a straight face. This is Agatha Christie meets Murder, She Wrote. Yay, her world combusted. And the quote is from AARP. Hi everybody, it's Audrey and welcome back to Chapter and Converse and welcome to November new releases, which feels a little bit like a mini-sode, mini video. I have like a dozen books to talk about, but some of them are paperback releases that I want to talk about, but everybody knows, I feel like as the year goes on, the new release list gets smaller as we get towards the end of the year. So there are some gems, I would say. I'm a little bit biased because these are obviously books that I'm interested in or have, you know, added to my list. But anyway, let's get right into it. There's a handful to talk about, and then you guys can tell me which books you're excited about this month. Okay, first things first. There are actually 3 books that came out on November 1st. They were Amazon First Reads, so if you guys are part of that program, you will have seen them by now. So little retrospective, these babies already came out. The first one is called A Very Bad Thing by J.T. Ellison. I am a big fan of hers. I've read a few of her books and I have all the plans of reading this one too. So like I said, big fan of hers. And this is one of my favorite things. This is a book about an author. You guys know I love books about writers and that's always just like a buzzword catnip for me. So we have an author at the pinnacle of her career whose past threatens to destroy everything she has and everyone she knows. It's just kicking off the month in my sweet spot. A great writer knows when to deliver a juicy plot twist. But for one author, the biggest twist of all is her own murder. With a number of hit titles and a highly anticipated movie tie-in, celebrated novelist Columbia Jones is at the top of her game. Fans around the world adore her, but on the final night of her latest book tour, one face in the crowd makes the author collapse. And the next morning, she's lying dead in a pool of blood. Sidebar. This is our first sidebar of the video. I'm currently listening to the Boneheads podcast, which is a Bones rewatch podcast. And I am instantly reminded of when Temperance was doing a book tour and somebody was like copycatting murders from her book. Does anybody remember that? Temperance is not in a pool of blood. Obviously she's the main character, so that's not going to happen. So anyway, okay, back to Columbia. Her death shocks the entire world and leaves her daughter and publicist reeling. The police have nothing to go on at first, but then details emerge pointing to the author's illicit past. Yes! Turns out many people had a motive to kill Columbia. And with a hungry reporter and a frustrated cop on the trail, her secrets won't stay buried for long. But how many lives will they shatter as the truth comes out? I love a book about a writer. I love a book about a writer. I love a book about a writer. So I have read Lie to Me. I read It's One of Us. I read, where's the one that's like Rebecca? Her Dark Lies. And I'm a big fan of J.T. Ellison as an author. She's definitely one of those people who gives fantastic craft advice, great at conferences, great in podcast interviews, super generous, just super talented. She's written a ton of books, and I will be 1000% picking this one up. I will not talk that much about every single book. Lies. Okay. The next book is Drop Dead Sisters, and this is by Amelia Diane Coombs. This is one of the books that I actually picked up from Amazon First Reads, and this is the first in what is now being pitched as a 2-book series of the Finch sisters, and it is a Mindy Kaling book studio pick. I did not know Mindy Kaling had a book studio, but she does, so here we go. This is 3 sisters reunite on a family vacation and rekindle their relationship the only way they know how, by covering each other's tracks in a real-life murder mystery not even they can figure out. Remy Finch has spent the better part of her adult life avoiding family, especially her sisters. They just don't click. Happens, girl, happens. Besides, her unconventional upbringing and major anxiety have convinced Remy that she can't build a relationship with anyone, period. So when her parents plan a family reunion camping trip, oof, my worst nightmare, to celebrate their anniversary, Remy's willing to reconnect, if only because she doesn't have a choice. But then a dead body turns up at their campsite, and the sisterly bonding kicks into high gear. No one knows the whole story, but the Finch women are prepared to cover up the pieces before anyone tries to put them together. Who is dead? It's a precautionary measure, probably unnecessary. Nobody else was there, so how could they ever have seen anything? So we have old grudges, new dynamics, a handsome park ranger, and a body that won't stay hidden. Remy is about to learn that nothing strengthens family ties quite like crime. Family ties quite like crime. This sounds like The Trouble with Harry, that Hitchcock movie, which there was a Remington Steele episode in season 1, which was inspired by The Trouble About Harry at the vineyard with the monk whose body wouldn't stay in one place. I don't know if anybody saw it. So I imagine this is going to be comedic hijinks. That is just a guess. And I'm here for it. I'm here for some comedy. I'm here for the body. I'm here for some sisterly bonding. I do enjoy a sister story. And I will let you guys know what I think when I read it. And then the last November 1st book, which is the second book that I got from Amazon Prime First Reads, is Pike Island by Tony Wirt. Now, I saw him on a panel at Thriller Fest. He was a new to me author, but I want to say this is his third book. And he was talking about this book on the panel, which was like setting as a character, Corinne Jade from the Astrology House. She was part of this panel as well. And Tony was talking about this book and I got super jazzed for it. And here it is. So this is a haunting thriller about a rising politician whose shadowy past threatens to end his career and his future shot at the presidency. So here we go. What happens at the cabin stays at the cabin, right? Andrew Harrison, Harry Leonard, is destined for politics. Getting his start on the Rochester City Council, he quickly rose to become the youngest representative in Congress. Now, the up-and-comer from Minnesota is on the brink of something big, and if all goes well, he'll be in the perfect position to aim for the presidency. Sorry, Harry, you know, it's a thriller, it's not going good. So a postcard arrives, blank except for the name and the address, Andy Leonard. Harry hasn't used that name since high school. So his chief of staff, Krista, recognizes his old moniker, and when he dodges some questions about it, her antenna starts to go up, and she soon discovers that the lake that is pictured on the postcard holds secrets too. I'm guessing that's the lake. Krista's investigation into Harry's past uncovers the truth of what happened one fateful teenage summer, but as disturbing details come to light, how far will Krista go to keep Harry's career and her own headed to the top? Is she going to bury his secrets for him? I hope so. This is reminding me of some old school Richard North Patterson, if anybody was a fan of his, but I'm excited. So I very much enjoyed, again, Tony as an author and on the panel, and he definitely drew me in, and this story drew me in, and the setting, I'm here for the atmosphere, so stay tuned for that one too. Okay, now we're gonna move on to November 5th, and I have a thriller. This is called The Lake of Lost Girls. This is by Catherine Green. She is a new to me author. I don't want to assume she's a new to everybody author. She is, Catherine Green is actually a pen name of best-selling authors A. Meredith Walters and Claire C. Riley. Who knew? I did not know. I'm sure other people knew. I did not know. It is told in alternating timelines, and it is a haunting novel that will thrill fans of All Good People Here, which is that crazy, dark, messed up Ashley Flowers book, and We're All the Same in the Dark, which I want to say is Julia Oberland. Maybe I'm sitting here with a computer on my lap. Maybe just look it up. Julia Haberlin. And I absolutely own this book. I am fairly certain, this is sidebar number 2, I'm fairly certain I bought this for myself for my birthday a few years ago. Sometimes the universe sends you signs. Did I keep a receipt in here? Probably not. I'm pretty sure I went to Barnes & Noble in 2021 when we were out, like able to go back out into the world, and I bought this for myself. So, maybe I should read it. Okay, anyway, but before we read that, all right, or maybe we'll read this first. We'll see. Okay, The Lake of Lost Girls. Why are you guys here? For the new books that are coming out. You're here for this. You're here for this. Okay, in 1998, it's 1998. It's 1998, and female students are going missing at Southern State University in North Carolina. But freshman Jessica Fadley, F-A-D-L-E-Y, once a bright and responsible student, is going through her own struggles. Just as her life seems to be careening dangerously out of control, she suddenly disappears. 24 years later, Jessica's sister Lindsay is desperately searching for answers and uses the momentum of a new chart-topping true crime podcast that focuses on cold cases to guide her own investigation. Soon, interest reaches fever pitch when the bodies of the long-missing women begin turning up at a local lake, which leads Lindsay down a disturbing road of discovery. In the present, one sister searches to untangle a complicated web of lies, and in the past, the other descends even deeper into darkness that will lead to her ultimate fate. Propulsive and chilling suspense, sharp examination of sisterhood, and the culture of true crime. So I feel like we have a theme going here. We already had a sister book. Now we have another one. I love me some true crime. And I'm going to read it. I'm very excited for this one. November 5th. Mark your calendars. Okay. Also on November 5th, we have The Author's Guide to Murder. This is by Beatrice Williams, Lauren Willig, and Karen White. The title on this one got me. There's a couple, the title made me do it this month. I also kind of totally dig the cover of this one. The pitch on this one, the What Drew Audrey In. These are mostly, all of these books are like new to me kind of people. This is Agatha Christie meets Murder, She Wrote, in this witty locked room mystery and literary satire. Give me a JB any day of the week. Okay, there has been a sensational murder at the historic Castle Kinloch, Kinloch. I don't know how to talk. A gothic fantasy of gray granite on a remote island in the Highlands of Scotland. It is not Kinloch. I'm sure there's a much cooler way of saying that. Okay, Highlands of Scotland. Literary superstar Brett Saffron Presley has been found dead under bizarre circumstances in the castle tower's book-lined studio. Years ago, Presley purchased the castle as a showpiece for his brand and to lure paying guests with a taste for writerly glamour. Now it seems the castle has done him in, or possibly one of the castle's guests has. Bum, bum, bum. Detective Chief Inspector Ewan McIntosh, a local with no love for literary Americans, finds himself with the unenviable task of extracting statements from 3 American lady novelists. So we have 3 prime suspects. We have Kat De Noir, a slinky erotica writer, Cassie Pringle, a southern mom of 6 juggling multiple cozy mysteries, and Emma Endicott, a New England blue blood and author of a critically acclaimed historical fiction. She's the author of critically acclaimed historical fiction. I can't keep a straight face. The women claim to be best friends, writing a book together, Art Imitating Life, Life Imitating Art. But the author's stories about how they know Brett Saffron Presley don't quite line up, and the detective is getting kind of suspicious. Why did the authors really come to Castle Kinloch? Cooler way to say it. And what really happened the night of the Great Kinloch Sideal? Girl, I don't know how to say these things. Okay, when Brett skipped the folk dancing for a rendezvous with death. Okay, crafty, locked room mystery, literary satire, and I'm just super excited for it. Love the cover. Can't wait to find out more about it. I'm here for JB Agatha Christie vibes. I'm in. Hi friends, don't adjust your dial. This is future Audrey coming in because I'm going to re-film, not that you would know the difference, the next book, which is The Coldest Case by Tessa Weigert. So when I originally filmed this, I did not have this beautiful arc that Tessa herself sent to me, so I wanted to re-record this, A, to shout out what an amazing author she is, and B, to hold up the book while I talk about it, which is so silly, but more than anything, I wanted to send a huge thank you to Tessa for sending it to me. This is the 6th book in the Shayna Merchant series, which I absolutely adore, and if you guys were around if you guys were around specifically for my Thriller Fest video, then you would have heard me also scream about how amazing Tessa is. So we actually connected on Instagram, just through the chats and such. And I actually won 2 of her books in an auction last year, so we connected on that. And then at Thriller Fest this year, she was one of the coordinators for Pitch Fest, and we met and we chatted, and she gave me some amazing advice, and she's just such a generous, lovely lady. And she offered to send me this arc, and of course I screamed and said thank you so much, and here it is. So, the Shayna Merchant series, I did pull book number 1, which is Death in the Family, which is still one of my all-time favorite isolated thrillers. So Shayna is a senior investigator with New York State. And in this book, she is called to this isolated island where this wonderfully horrible rich family is, and like horrible in all the best ways. And someone in the family is missing, and there's blood in the bed, and there's a nor'easter, and she gets trapped on the island with her partner and has to solve the crime. And the series progresses and more things happen since then. So this is, like I said, book number 6, and the small blurb on the back, don't worry, I'm going to get you a big blurb, is a missing influencer brings senior investigator Shayna Merchant to a frozen island community of just 8 people. When the visit turns deadly, her hunt for a killer collides with a cold case she'll never forget. So again, a little bit of that isolated vibe. But since this is the arc, it doesn't say much in the back, so let me get you a full conversation about this one. Description. So it is February in the Thousand Islands. This entire series is set in Alexandria Bay. Super atmospheric, like what a great place for so many mysteries. And there's a lot of islands and reasons for treacherous weather and all sorts of great things. And then it's like, during the season, it's super popular, but in the off season, it's very empty. So there's just a lot of different factors which make for great thrillers. So we are in February and we are at Running Pine Island, the tiny remote island with the 8 people on it. So it says they are cut off from civilization by endless ice. These 8 people are overwinterizing on this tiny island. I've never heard of such a thing, but it says they're used to the hard work, isolation, and freezing temperatures. And then they have these 2 newcomers, which are our influencers, Carrie and Sylvie, whose accounts documenting their year on the island is garnering thousands of followers and thousands of dollars worth of luxury gifts. Long-term islanders are not such huge fans of the city slickers, particularly because they don't actually get how hard the work is, and they will do anything for the shot. So like, did it for the gram. That's absolutely who these 2 people are. But then Carrie doesn't return from ice fishing one morning, and his neighbors start to fear the worst. So the clock is ticking to find this missing influencer, and a police team is dispatched. But Sylvie, his frantic partner, will only talk to one person. Of course, our girl Shayna. So it says, where is Carrie, and what is it that Sylvie's not sharing? With aspects of the case reminding Shayna of an unsolved homicide from her past that haunts her still, she risks her own safety to help. But little does she know that a storm is coming, and if she doesn't solve both crimes soon, she may become the island's next victim. So this absolutely has some Death in the Family vibes to me. Totally different kind of a case, but I love the isolated aspect. An isolated story is one of my absolute favorite tropes. I very much love my girl Shayna. So I'm gonna say the thing which I've said with some series as of late. I think if you're new to the series, I'm always gonna recommend you start with book 1, because like I said earlier, this is one of my favorite books. But I also think you could jump right in here. Now, I have not read this yet. It literally just came. I am currently reading book number 5. So that auction that I talked about, I won a annotated copy of book number 4. And then at the time, the new book number 5. So I recently revisited the annotations of book number 4, which was super cool. I don't even have the words for it. If I can get an annotated copy of books by authors that I love, I would absolutely do it over and over again. So I'm currently reading book number 5, and then I'm going to jump right into this one. And I'm super excited. So stay tuned for review on this one. But I do think you could jump in right here. So I will say, I feel like the first 3 books in the series are best read in order. Like, I wouldn't necessarily start with book 2 or 3. I would go 1, 2, 3. Or I think you could read book 1 and then safely jump into book 4, or safely jump into book number 5, or start at book 5. I just, in my humble opinion, and I say this all the time, do whatever you guys want to do. That's how this works. But if you were going to read book 2 and 3, I would read 1, 2, 3 in order, because while each case is solved, there is an overarching storyline, and because it's a series, there are obviously overarching stories throughout all of the books. So if you do jump in later in the series, you're just going to be spoiled for some personal life stuff. And I do think there's mentions of things that if you like that are going to go right past you because you're not going to have a familiarity with the earlier books, so you could go back and read them if you wanted to. All that to say, this is coming out on the 5th, so go ahead, grab it, go out, grab it, get it from your library, give it a read, and then come back here and I will tell you what I thought of it. But super excited for it. Thank you again so much, Tessa. She's an absolute doll, and I'm so excited to read this one. Okay, slightly kicked the tripod as I uncrossed my legs, but we're good to go. Okay. The next book, this is a paperback release, and this is When I'm Dead by Hannah Morrissey. So if anybody maybe was waiting for the paperback, or maybe missed the hardcover release, or is just looking to get into or back to the Black Harbor series, consider this your sign. I am a huge fan of Hannah Morrissey. You guys would know that if you have been around here or listened to me rave. I did get an arc of her new book, which I'm super excited about, but I really enjoyed this one. So this is actually set on and around Halloween. So kind of 'tis the season when the paperback comes out. It actually came out on Halloween last year, which was pretty cool. And I loved it. So Black Harbor series, for anyone who's new to Hannah Morrissey, is similar to Tana French's Dublin Murder Squad in the sense that the town is the through line and the police force is the through line, but each book carries different main characters in different cases. So while there is one character who does have a through line, kind of a main character in book one sort of decreases in books 2 and 3, you can certainly read them in any order, and you're welcome to jump on in. Water's fine. Anywhere you want. Okay. This one we have one girl murdered, one girl missing, and a medical examiner desperate to uncover the truth. So in this one, we actually get a couple. So we get the medical examiner and a detective, which I very much enjoyed. So we have medical examiner Rowan Winthrop. And why does this description not talk about who her husband is? He's one of the detectives at the Dublin Murder Squad in Black Harbor. So Rowan is actually at her daughter's play and she winds up getting a phone call. Her daughter's actually doing Beetlejuice for their high school. So I feel like what a great tie-in since that's like now back out and about. Anyway, so she gets a call, gets pulled away from the play and winds up having to deal with the body of her daughter's best friend who is found. As if that's not bad enough. A couple hours later, she's calling her daughter to make sure she got home okay from the play. She's obviously concerned because her daughter's best friend has been found murdered during the course of the play, and now her daughter has disappeared. So it says, a morbid mosaic of clues forces Rowan and her husband to question how deeply they really knew their daughter. Because of course, like all the questions and all the things are starting to come out. And as they work closely to peel back the layers of the case, they begin to unearth disturbing details about Chloe and her secret transgressions. Details that threaten to tear them apart. So what's really interesting about this is you have your medical examiner and your police officer who are used to dealing with all these really dark and disturbing cases in Black Harbor. But now the case has hit home. So trying to investigate this girl's death, but trying to deal with the disappearance of their daughter. The police are investigating them. They are on the kind of like the other side of the table from where they're used to being. So we're getting things about her daughter. We're getting questions in the community. And it's like some grief, some trying to deal with what's happening, trying to like solve the murder and everything. It's like super, it's not as complex as I'm making it out to be, but like complex in the sense that like you're trying to navigate all of these really difficult emotions. It's really good. All of Hannah Morrissey's books are really good, but I really, really, really enjoyed this one. And she is no stranger to the dark and messed up. Just raw, gritty, absolutely fantastic, this entire series. So anyway, it's coming out in paperback if you guys want to check it out. And yeah, there you go. In case you're interested in checking it out. Okay, the last book I have for November 5th, which I didn't even know this was a book. I didn't even know this was coming out until I found it, or like till I was doing research here. This is the name of this band is R.E.M. and this is by Peter Ames Carlin. It's a biography about R.E.M., which should have been a little bit obvious by the title. I love R.E.M. I am a huge R.E.M. fan, not their more recent stuff, but I was like an old school, love their original stuff, listened to them all through college, like years after, but like so obsessed. And I'm going to try and find a picture. Hopefully you will know if I succeeded because I will pop it up here. The freshman year. My freshman year in college, it was like the second month, I feel like. There was this event called Waymore Weekend. I don't know if anybody went to school in Boston. It was at Heinz Convention Center. And it was just sort of like this madness and vendors and free stuff. I feel like we called it something else because you walked away with like all this free stuff and they were selling things. And anyway, there were stores there and booths and everything. I bought this, no joke, like 6-foot poster of Michael Stipe. And it was like from the Losing My Religion era. And he just kind of has like his face down with the hat and it's all in black and white. I really hope I have a picture of one of my dorm rooms. My freshman year, because we had no wall space, It was above my bed. I had somebody like help me hang it. So every night when I went to sleep, I like looked up at Michael Stipe's face, or like the shadow of his face was so dramatic and artistic. And then sophomore year, it was above my bed. I don't even remember. Junior year, we had a lot of windows. So it definitely wasn't up junior year. And senior year, the same. We did not have that same kind of wall space. Anyway, I don't even know whatever happened to it. I don't even know when I got rid of it. Man, I loved that thing. So I mean, we're talking like obsessively listening to the lyrics, writing them down, like crying my eyes out, like feeling all the feels, dancing to all the good songs that you could dance to. But like, I was in it. And every time he like partnered with the B-52s, when he did stuff with Natalie Merchant, like live, die, breathe for Michael Stipe. Love, love, love. So this is an electrifying cultural biography of the greatest and last American rock band of the millennium, whose music ignited a generation and reasserted the power of rock and roll. Before I even get into it, I was looking at some of the reviews, which I feel like... So the quote is, "Catnip for Gen Xers who came of age listening to these eccentric, groundbreaking musicians." And the quote is from AARP. So that should kind of say it all, my friends. So, hey Gen Xers, hey AARP. I don't know why they're quoting this book or why they're reviewing this book, but it's fine. Anyway, it just absolutely like made me crack all the way up when I saw that. So we have the spring of 1980, an unexpected group of musical eccentrics came together to play their very first performance at a college party in Athens, Georgia. And within a few short years, they had taken over the world. So there is going to be a lot of pop culture to this, a lot of, I feel like 80s, 90s, yes, please, all of it. And it says, a tumultuous transition between the wide open 80s and the anxiety of the early 90s, REM challenged the corporate and social order, chasing a vision and cultivating a magnetic, transgressive sound. So 4 friends from college, Michael Stipe, Peter Buck, Mike Mills, Bill Berry, who stuck together at every cost. So it says that Peter Ames Carlin looks beyond the sex, drugs, and rock and roll to open a window into the fascinating lives of the 4 friends. I am really, really interested in this. I just loved them. I will say one of my biggest regrets, I never saw them live. I never had a chance to. And I just loved them. Like these, just such nostalgia. I have such vivid memories of like listening to their music, of like again, like sitting in my bedroom, sitting in my dorm room. I had the cassette tape of Document, and like the end of side A was the one was The End of the World as We Know It, and the beginning of side B was The One I Love. And I just remember going like back and forth between those 2 songs every once in a while. But it had like Exhuming McCarthy with the typewriter at the beginning. Oh, I just loved it so much. But the way that I probably wore out that end of side A, beginning of side B, like no joke. Loved it. So very excited for that. And if you are interested in kind of some rock biographies, but you are not here for some strange reason of the REM of it all, I'm trying to buy myself time so I can get to the book I'm looking for. We also have coming out, on November 12th, we have Heartbreak is the National Anthem, How Taylor Swift Reinvented Pop Music by Rob Sheffield. Absolutely going to be getting this one as well. So, cultural impact, musical journey. This is an intimate look at the life and music of modern pop's most legendary figure. So it says, a cultural phenomenon, a worldwide obsession, an agent of emotional chaos. There is no parallel to Taylor Swift in history. A teenage girl who turns into the world's favorite pop star, songwriter, storyteller, guitar hero, live performer, changing how music is made and heard. An all-time great on the level of the Beatles, Prince, or David Bowie. This is the first book that goes deep on the musical and cultural impact of Taylor Swift. And nobody can tell a story like Rob Sheffield, the best-selling and award-winning author of Dreaming of the Beatles, On Bowie, and Love is a Mixtape. He was a journalist for Rolling Stone, and it says he is the writer who has chronicled Taylor for every step of her long career, from her early days to the Eras tour. He gets right to the heart of Swift and her music, her lyrics, her fan connection, and her raw power. I'm very excited for this. I have such fascination with the behind the curtain. You guys know how I love it with writers, story behind the story, author stories. I love it with the music too. Lyrics are stories to me. I'm very into this. I did wind up buying the Taylor Swift style book. which I have not had a chance to dig into yet, partially because the first one that arrived was damaged beyond all recognition, so I needed to get a new one, but that is a story for a different day. So there you go. Those are my 2 nonfiction books. And then I have another one for the 12th. This is called I Think I Was Murdered by Colleen Coble. This is kind of my wild card. The title of this book is absolutely where I was like, I'm in. And then I started to read about it, so we'll see. So this is by Colleen Coble, and then in smaller letters it says Rick Acker. So I guess it's a duo, but her name is bigger than his. I don't know why. I don't know anything about her. And I don't know. We'll see. Why is there... I'm trying to think, like, does she always... She did another book with Rick Acker. Interesting. If anybody knows, let me know. So we have a timely, high-concept novel that delves into the impact of AI on a grieving widow who uses chatbot to talk to her dead husband. What she never expects is the response. This one says, just a year ago, Katrina Berg was at the pinnacle of her career. She was a rising star in the AI chatbot startup everyone was talking about. Married with an adoring husband and had more money than she knew how to spend. Then her world combusted. Her husband Jason was killed in a fire. I'm like, yay, her world combusted. There's no good thriller without a combusting world. Okay. Then her husband Jason was killed in a fiery car crash. Her CEO was indicted. And as the company's legal counsel, Katrina faces tough questions as the feds take over and lock her out of her office. The final blow is her grandmother passes away. Katrina is not having a good day. Her most prized possession is the beta prototype for a new ultra-sophisticated chatbot loaded onto her phone. The content of Jason's emails, social media backups, pictures, and every bit of data she could find were loaded into the bot, and Katrina has talked to him every day for the past 6 months. She's been amazed at how well it works. Even the syntax and words the bot uses sound like Jason. Sometimes she imagines he isn't really dead and is right there beside her. She knows it's slowing her grief recovery, but she can't stop pretending. On a particularly bad day, she taps out. Tell me something I don't know. The cursor blinks for several moments and seems frozen before the reply flashes quickly onto the screen. I think I was murdered. Ah! So she's super distraught, and it says she returns to her cozy Norwegian-flavored hometown in the Northern California Redwoods and enlists the help of Seb Wallace, local restaurateur and longtime acquaintance, to try and parse out the truth of what really happened. They must navigate the complicated path of grief, family dynamics, and second chances, as well as the complex questions of how much control technology has. And staying alive long enough to do this is far more difficult than either of them dreamed. So it says high-concept thriller, romantic suspense, fast-paced, family drama. We obviously have some grief. I don't know. It says a closed-door romance, in case anybody's interested. Not gonna lie, I kind of wish it was open. But I know that's not everybody's cup of tea. So I'm a bit intrigued. The title totally grabbed me. I don't know. Has anybody read anything by Colleen and Rick? Has anybody read anything by Colleen all on her own? Can you imagine? I think I was murdered. I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. It's like that Molly Shannon. I love it. So we will see. Okay. And then the last 2 books I have, full disclosure, are paperbacks. One is a re-release. This one confused the heck out of me. I don't know why it's being re-released now. I can't figure it out. I was like on the author's website and everything. This is called Some Choose Darkness by Charlie Donnelly. I have heard amazing things about him from Gare and Kate. So I wound up purchasing, I think, 2 of his books based on Kate's recommendations. And I swore I was going to read one of them, and then I didn't because I'm me. So I don't know if these are just like new covers. This is the first in a 2-book series. This originally came out in 2019. And then the second book in the series, which is called The Suicide House, came out in, hold please, 2020. So I don't know why they are re-releasing Some Choose Darkness. I can only think that I feel like a lot of authors right now are getting fresh covers, or like in the past couple of years, books have been re-released with fresh covers. I think that's all it is, but it showed up on Goodreads as a new release. So here I am talking about the book. So it comes out on November 26th. So right before Thanksgiving, if you guys are looking to pick up a book right before you do something for the holiday or hunker down at home for the holiday, here you go. Nice, beautiful autumnal cover going on too. Okay, it says Some Choose Darkness. This also is a fantastic title. Some choose darkness, others are chosen by it. Forensic reconstructionist Rory Moore sheds light on cold case homicides by piecing together crime scene details others fail to see. Cleaning out her late father's law office after his burial, she receives a call that plunges her into a decades-old, I just kicked the tripod, plunges her into a decades-old case. In the summer of 1979, 5 Chicago women went missing. The predator, nicknamed the Thief, left no bodies or clues behind until police received a package from a mysterious woman named Angela Mitchell, whose unorthodox investigations appeared to unmask the killer. Then Angela disappeared without a trace. 40 years later, the thief is about to be paroled for Angela's murder, but the cryptic file Rory finds in her father's law office suggests there is more to the case. Making one startling discovery after another, Rory becomes helplessly entangled in the enigma of Angela Mitchell and what happened to her. And as she continues to dig, even Rory can't be prepared for the full, terrifying truth that is emerging. What? What? I don't know why it's being re-released, but I'm kind of here for it. So I picked up The Girl Who Was Taken. I'm just looking at the covers. And Don't Believe It. I feel like this is the one that Kate and I talked about. I don't know. Whatever. Here we are. Charlie. Let me know if anybody's read him. Let me know if you've read this. Let me know. The next book is What Waits in the Woods by Terry Parlato. So again, this is the paperback release of her book from last year. She does have a new book coming out on Christmas Eve, and I believe these are all part of a series. That might not be true. Yes, I believe the detective Rita Myers is the through line. I don't know if you need to read them in order. I don't know anything because I haven't read them yet. So book number 1 is All the Dark Places, which I own. Haven't read yet. And then I deliberately did not buy this book because I hadn't read the first one yet and I was trying to have an ounce of self-control. But this cover is, ooh, I just love it so much. It's beautiful. Okay, so we have Esme Foster left the Boston suburbs to become a professional ballerina, and the future shimmered with promise. First book is also set outside Boston. 11 years later, her career has been derailed by an injury, and Esme knows it's time to come back to Graybridge to help her brother take care for their ailing father. But her return coincides with the unthinkable crime. Kara Cunningham, one of Esme's high school friends, is found dead in the woods behind the Foster's house. It's like a little jar of hearts, a little bit. Esme is shocked and grieving, but also uneasy. In her dreams, she still sees the man who showed up at the scene of the car accident that killed her mother, and told Esme he was going to kill her too. Ooh, geez. Family and friends insisted the figure was a product of Esme's imagination, that she was concussed after the crash. But she and Kara looked alike, sharing the same petite build, the same hair color. Could Kara's murder have been the case of mistaken identity? Oh my God, I haven't even read this. Not like Jar of Hearts, but my God, best friend dead in the backyard. Okay, Detective Rita Myers, she's a through line, is familiar with close-knit communities like Graybridge, where beneath the friendliness there are whispers and secrets. The town has seen other tragedies too, including the long-ago drowning of a young girl in a pond deep in the woods. Even within the once close circle of friends that included Kara and Esme, Rita discerns a ripple of mistrust. Day by day, Esme discovers more about the place she left behind and the friends and family she thought she knew. Soon shining a light into the darkness to learn what really happened the night Kara died is the only way she can bring the nightmare to an end. I am super jazzed about this. Something to say for some self-control. So the big, ba-boom on the screen says, a return home descends into madness. Mistaken identity, a dance of deception, electrifyingly twisted. Deadly secrets take center stage. All the ballerina puns. And yeah, here we go. Anything in and around Boston, I am totally here for it. And I'm super curious. So I am going to read first book first because I already own it. I am super thirsty for this book cover because it's absolutely stunning. And I am absolutely going to keep my eye out for the third book she has coming out. Why did I already lose the page? I feel like sometimes the internet is playing tricks. Watch Your Back. There's a sneak preview for what we're going to talk about in December. So Watch Your Back, A Bleak Boston Winter. Yes, this is, like I said, we have a recently married couple finds their lives and their relationship unraveling after a series of deadly accidents. Okay, here we go. We'll find out. So there you go. There you go. There you go. There you go. All right, that is what I have for November. That is what I have. So tight list, some that I already have, and so I'm very excited for building my Christmas wish list. So we'll see how that goes. So I am doing November marathon. I had to think for a beat. Sisters in Crime. We're gonna write our fannies off. I am committed to getting this book done. This draft done. The book is done. It's just we're in draft revise. Not even draft. We're in revision mode. We're in not endless revision mode, but like in revision mode. And yeah, so that is going to be my chief focus for November. So I'm going to read what I read when I feel like reading it, and I will report back on what those books are. But let me know what is on your agenda for November. What new releases are you jazzed about? What did I miss? There's so many books that are coming out. I know. And yeah, let's all talk about them here. So thank you guys so much for watching. A little bit of a mini video. And yeah, I hope everybody's doing great and staying warm or staying cool or just, you know, taking good care of yourselves. That is the priority. We are officially, in my opinion, like entering the season of. This is where it all kind of, I feel like, takes off. So take care of yourselves, you guys. Do what feels right. Do what feels good. Read tons of books if that's what it is. And I will see you guys back here in the next video. So until then, bye everybody.